The moment the gunshot echoed through the crowd, chaos erupted. People screamed, ducked, and scattered in every direction. But amid the panic, one figure didn't move like the rest. Instead of diving for cover, he sprinted, fast, focused, and clutching something in his hand. When the footage was first circulated online, most dismissed it as another conspiracy clip, poor quality and inconclusive. But when slowed down and enhanced, the object in his hand became unmistakable: a gun. Not a phone, not a wallet, a weapon. And that small detail has reignited serious questions about what really happened during the Charlie Kirk shooting and whether the man currently sitting behind bars, Tyler Robinson, might have been convicted not because he was guilty, but because someone needed to take the blame quickly. Before diving deeper, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future updates on this developing investigation. From the start, this case has been surrounded by confusion, secrecy, and contradictions. The viral video, captured by a bystander mere seconds after the shot was fired, has become a critical piece of evidence. The man seen running through the chaos wasn't reacting in fear; his movements suggested purpose. He appeared to know exactly where he was going. Witnesses described the same thing. While most people froze, this man bolted in a straight line, as if following a plan. Investigators who later reviewed official footage never mentioned this runner publicly, and the clip never made it to mainstream news broadcasts. But the version shared by ordinary citizens tells a different story, one that cannot be easily ignored. When analyzed frame by frame, key physical differences between the fleeing man and Tyler Robinson become clear. The runner's height, clothing, and body build don't match Tyler's documented appearance that day. Tyler was seen wearing a light-colored outfit, while the runner wore a dark hoodie and loose pants. Even the stride and body shape differ noticeably. These visual inconsistencies suggest that the man in the video may be someone else entirely. Yet despite the potential significance of this footage, it has remained absent from any official case file released to the public. If it was dismissed, no explanation has been provided. If it was examined, no findings have been shared. And that silence alone raises troubling questions. Why would such a critical lead, possibly showing the real shooter, be buried or ignored? Why was it never discussed by investigators or prosecutors? Transparency in high-profile cases is essential, yet this detail slipped through every public briefing, as if it didn't exist. The public deserves to know whether the video was analyzed by forensic experts, compared to known suspects, or even acknowledged at all. Because if a man with a gun was caught on camera fleeing the scene, and that man was not Tyler Robinson, then the foundation of the prosecution's entire case begins to crack. The mystery deepens further with the introduction of another name, Lance Twigg, Tyler Robinson's boyfriend. Witnesses claim to have seen him near the shooting site at the very moment the chaos began. According to a sworn statement from a local resident, Twigg was spotted just yards away from the point of impact. When the crowd panicked, this witness said, he stood still for a brief moment, almost frozen, before pulling out his phone and pretending to talk as he walked away. The description matches Twigg's appearance in every notable way. And yet, this account was never discussed in court, never mentioned in the press, and apparently never investigated by police. The silence surrounding this investigation has become too loud to ignore. When someone emotionally connected to a primary suspect appears near a crime scene, standard procedure demands scrutiny. Investigators typically move fast. They check phone records, review GPS data, analyze movement patterns, and question every action before and after the event. The purpose is clear: to eliminate doubt and uncover motive. But in this case, that process never happened. No interrogation, no background check, no official acknowledgement. Lance Twigg, Tyler Robinson's boyfriend, was reportedly spotted near the scene of the Charlie Kirk shooting, yet, inexplicably, was never brought in for questioning. This lack of inquiry has stirred unease among those following the case. It's hard to imagine how such an oversight could occur by accident. Some observers believe it might have been negligence, a simple failure of process amid the chaos of a high-profile crime. Others suspect something more intentional, something hidden beneath layers of procedure and politics. Could Twigg have been shielded from scrutiny? And if so, by whom? The consequences of that omission are profound. When any person closely linked to a suspect is ignored, it doesn't just weaken an investigation, it distorts the truth. It leaves holes in the story that speculation rushes to fill. And right now, those holes are widening, leaving the public to wonder whether the real shooter has already slipped away. As this information surfaces, more people are starting to question whether Tyler Robinson's arrest was ever about evidence at all, or simply about convenience. The shooting sent shockwaves across the country. A public figure had been attacked, the media was in a frenzy, and law enforcement was under tremendous pressure to deliver swift justice. The nation wanted answers, and they wanted them fast. In such moments, the truth often becomes secondary to optics. Officials needed a suspect, and Tyler Robinson, already a controversial online figure, fit the role perfectly. His past social media posts, his outspoken opinions, and his confrontational persona painted a picture that was easy for the public to condemn. It didn't matter that the case against him lacked solid proof. In the court of public opinion, he was guilty the moment his name hit the headlines. The narrative took shape almost instantly. An extremist with a grudge had targeted a political figure. It was simple, digestible, and emotionally satisfying. But as many are now asking, was it true? That's where the story begins to darken. Once Tyler was arrested, the media stopped asking questions. The early urgency to get to the truth vanished, replaced with a steady drumbeat of condemnation. Reporters didn't push investigators about the man seen running with a gun in the bystander video. They didn't probe into why Twig's name had disappeared from reports. Instead, they shifted their attention toward Tyler's personal life. His old tweets, his political beliefs, his behavior, every aspect of his identity became ammunition for a narrative that had already been decided. This kind of reporting is dangerous because it moves public focus away from evidence and toward emotion. It's no longer about what happened, but about who seems capable of doing it. And once that shift happens, the truth becomes buried under perception. The audience stops asking whether the accused did it, and instead asks whether the accused could have done it. It's a subtle but devastating transformation, one that turns justice into theater. Behind the scenes, both the justice system and the media can fall into the same trap, the temptation of closure. When public outrage is high and answers are scarce, institutions often seek to calm the storm quickly. They want to reassure citizens that the system works, that justice is being served. But in their rush to provide certainty, they risk manufacturing it. The result? A quick conviction that comforts the public, but corrodes the truth. Justice isn't supposed to be easy. It isn't meant to be fast. It's supposed to be thorough, transparent, and accountable. When those values are sacrificed for convenience, the entire system suffers. Because if Tyler Robinson's case is indeed built on selective evidence and ignored witnesses, then this isn't just one man's tragedy, it's a reflection of a much larger failure. The calls for transparency are growing louder. Advocates for Tyler are demanding the full, unedited release of all footage from that day, not just what was shown in court or aired on television. They're asking for every bystander video, every body cam recording, every street camera angle to be made public. They're also calling for the witness statement placing Lance Twig at the scene to be reviewed openly. Only then, they argue, can the public separate the real truth from the narrative that's been sold. And that demand makes sense. If law enforcement is confident in Tyler's guilt, full transparency should strengthen their position. Revealing all the evidence would only silence doubt. But withholding it, refusing to release footage or statements, does the opposite. It fuels suspicion. It suggests that something or someone is being protected. And that protection, if misplaced, no longer serves justice. It serves preservation of image, reputation, or political standing. This is what many are calling the performance of justice. It looks legitimate on the surface. Press conferences, statements, quick arrests, but beneath it lies a script. Each role is predetermined, each conclusion already written. Tyler Robinson, in this view, wasn't convicted by fact, but assigned a part in a story designed to calm chaos. A villain was needed, and he was available. The implications reach far beyond this single case. If a person can be branded guilty before evidence is fully tested, what does that say about the system? how many other stories have played out in silence, with convenient arrests replacing hard investigation. It raises uncomfortable questions about how easily society accepts closure over truth. Have we become too willing to believe what's easy rather than what's right? The truth is that injustice thrives not in noise but in quiet. It survives in sealed files, unasked questions, and unchallenged assumptions. And that's where the public's role becomes crucial. Every person watching this story unfold, every reader sharing it, contributes to the outcome. When we stop questioning, we become complicit. When we accept headlines without evidence, we participate in the machinery that turns accusation into conviction without proof. This story, at its heart, isn't about politics or personality. It's not about whether you agree with Tyler Robinson's views or dislike the people involved. It's about truth, the most basic promise a justice system makes to its citizens. Truth shouldn't depend on popularity, nor should it be filtered through convenience. It should stand on its own, clear and undeniable. That's why transparency is so essential. The footage must be released. Every angle, every timestamp, every second of unedited material. The public deserves to see it, not the edited snippets that fit a particular storyline. Every witness must be heard, not dismissed because their testimony complicates the case. Every unanswered question deserves a response. Only through full disclosure can we know whether the right person is behind bars, or whether someone else, perhaps the real shooter, is walking free, protected by silence and bureaucracy. And if the latter is true, then what's at stake here isn't just a single case, it's the credibility of justice itself. A system that allows even one innocent person to be condemned while the guilty walk free isn't just broken, it's dangerous. Because once that precedent is set, once truth becomes optional, no one is truly safe. The framing of Tyler Robinson, if proven, wouldn't just be a legal failure, it would be a moral collapse. It would show how easily truth can be twisted when convenience and control take priority. It would reveal how institutions under pressure can shift from protectors of justice to managers of narrative. And it would remind us that silence, in the face of possible wrongdoing, is not neutrality. It's participation. That's why this story matters. Because it forces us to confront not just the details of one crime, but the integrity of the systems we depend on. It challenges us to ask whether we've grown too complacent, too trusting of authority, too ready to accept neat conclusions in a world that rarely provides them. If Tyler Robinson was framed, then his case isn't only his to bear. It's ours. Because every citizen who allows injustice to stand silently becomes part of its foundation. The power to change that lies not in the hands of officials or media executives, but in the people who refuse to look away. So, here's the challenge. Demand the truth. Don't settle for partial answers or polished press statements. Insist on evidence, on transparency, on accountability. Because justice, real justice, can survive exposure. It doesn't need to hide behind closed doors or redacted files. Truth only grows stronger when it's seen in full light. The moment we stop asking questions is the moment freedom begins to fade. That's why this case is more than a crime story. It's a test of conscience. Will we choose comfort or truth? Will we demand answers or accept silence? The choice, as always, belongs to us. Stay informed, stay aware, and subscribe for continuing updates as the search for truth in this case moves forward.